Crouse.
Take me back to the beginning of, not the movie, we'll talk about that in a sec, but when you decided to sort of have the idea that this might make it on stage, how did that happen? Tell me the genesis of this.
Well, I've been working at Troma for 40 years, but I hadn't intended to make movies with my life. I was going to be a teacher or a social worker and do good things, change the world, teach people with hooks for hands how to finger paint and all that stuff. I was raised on the theater. I loved legitimate theater, and specifically, being a gay married man, I wept through many a Barbra Streisand show, and I went to see every Broadway musical when I was a kid. Not just things like Bye Bye Birdie and My Fair Lady, but I went to see Lucille Ball and Wildcat and Sam Levine in Let It Ride, Phil Silvers in Do Re Mi. I mean, I saw the flops, and they always had at least one good song. They always had, there was always some good stuff in them, and some of them were very like Leonard Bernstein, Candide. That was a flop when it came out when I was a kid, and we all loved it. And needless to say, when it was revived 20 years later, it was a huge hit. And there were other shows like that are terrific. And at any rate, I'm a big fan of the musical, so I always thought Toxic Avenger would, if a movie in which a young boy's head is squashed by the wheel of an automobile, if that movie, The Toxic Avenger, can be made into a children's environmentally correct cartoon show, then God damn it, a musical certainly could happen. And what the interesting lesson for you young filmmakers is that you don't have to be so paranoid about your precious copyrights and all that stuff. Let people borrow your stuff, especially if they're poor. And there were these students who were fans of Toxic Avenger who wanted to make a musical in Portland, Oregon, and they made the musical Toxic Avenger Music Kill, Kill. And I gave them the license for free. I figured they don't have any money, so why try to squeeze a few bucks out of them? They barely, they're students. And I went to the opening of Toxic Avenger, the Music Kill in Portland, Oregon. It was very ingenious, and I don't know whether they made any money or not. I didn't ask for any. And then another guy wrote a musical, Toxic Avenger, the musical, or something like that. And that was played in Omaha, Nebraska, and did rather well. And again, we let them do it for free. And they kept all the money if there wasn't. I think it went 6 or 7 weeks. It got very good reviews, and that Omaha production is what attracted the attention of Tom Poland and Gene Cheever. And they produced on Broadway. They did Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and some other
big time.
Yeah, they're fairly serious players. I mean, they're young and new, and but they saw the potential of the Toxic Avenger, and they just started from scratch. And they hired David Bryan, who's the Bon Jovi. Apparently, Bon Jovi's. They're from New Jersey, and apparently they're very good fans of Toxie, right, and saw the potential. And then Joe DiPietro, who is a very famous off-Broadway, and Broadway, actually, I'm sorry, he's a major Broadway writer. He wrote the longest-running musical review in New York in history, I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. I think the longest-running off-Broadway musical. And they both fell in love with the Toxic Avenger idea, and they... the only condition was that I stay at least one mop length away from any side of the creative to make sure that the Toxic Avenger musical appealed to more than 6 people. I had nothing to do with it, other than I told them, that just in case, and I'm sure they got it anyway, but a lot of people don't. The Toxic Avenger is satire. The Toxic Avenger is a comedy, and that's the way it should be approached. It is not a serious horror film, and it's definitely not Evil Dead. It's not Evil Dead. Right. Although Evil Dead is brilliant, and Sam Raimi is a big Troma fan, and I know that my stuff has influenced him. But we're different. I do social satire, and he does money-making movies.
Richard Crouse.